The recent spate of targeted killings in Kashmir has sparked fear and outrage among people. Sources within the law enforcement agencies have told us that the situation could worsen in the coming days. We asked rights activists and stakeholders about the solutions to end this reign of terror. We spoke to numerous victims of terror in the valley, and their stories are heart-wrenching.
On the morning of 20th January 1990, my wife was pregnant. And imagine the circumstances under which I left. There was huge, loud messages from the mosques. It was a very scary environment. It was something which we couldn't tolerate. I had to leave the place at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I came in my own car, and I was driving at a speed of 80 kilometers when I left the place. It was such a frightening moment for all of us that we just wanted to get out of that place as soon as possible. Can you imagine? Our first stop was after crossing the tunnel, Banihal. We reached Banihal and we heaved a sigh of relief. For us, it is an unimaginable agony and it's an unimaginable pain that we have been having all these years. Can you just tell me, just name anybody who is happy at leaving his homes and hearths? We have our living memories there. And imagine on the December, it was just after 7 or 8 months, the house that belonged to us was gutted down. And it is not only displacement, it is dispossessment. What belonged to you, you cannot claim that it is mine.
I was just 8-year-old when this incident happened, and it happened in 2002. Terrorists got inside the house of my uncle, and they saw my uncle there. They shot him 2 bullets on his chest, and later on when they saw my mother there, they thought that she may give this information to the security forces that these were the people who were responsible for his killing. So they shot her dead.
इस वक्त भी कोई 10-20 आदमी जो वहाँ जो मुलाजिम थे, बाकी की बात तो छोड़ो, 10-12 आदमी ऑफिस के मुलाजिम भी थे. किसी ने भी थोड़ा बहुत भी, हम नहीं बोलते वो गोली नहीं लगाते हॉस्पिटल जख्मी हो जाता, लेकिन किसी ने बादर नहीं किया कि उसको बचाने की कोशिश करें या कोशिश की जाए. तो लग रहा है ऐसे कि उसमें मिले हुए कुछ लोग हैं, अंदर से बाहर से मिले हुए लोग. मैं बड़ा हैरान हूँ. डीसी कंसर्न जो उसका ऑफिशियल, उसने फोन तक नहीं किया, या डिस्ट्रिक्ट एसएसपी ने उसने नहीं किया, आज तक भी नहीं किया, या वहाँ के मजिस्ट्रेट जो चालूरा का वो तहसीलदार वहाँ कंसर्न जो था, जिसके ऑफिस में जिसके सामने मारा गया, जिसने अपना दरवाजा बंद किया, उन्होंने कांटेक्ट नहीं किया. तो ये मुझे नहीं लगता, ये अजीब सी बात है.
According to the Jammu and Kashmir police, the targeted killings of minorities are the handiwork of Pakistan-based terror groups. The cold-blooded murders are being orchestrated to create a circle of fear in the valley. The planning and execution of these killings are also seen as a retaliation against the demographic changes brought in by the Indian government.
आज कश्मीर में टारगेट कीपिंग हो रही है. ये बेसिकली एक कॉन्स्पिरेसी एक्ट की है मुजफ्फराबाद में सितंबर के दूसरे-तीसरे महीने हफ्ते में पिछले साल, जब ISI के जो हैंडलर्स हैं उन्होंने टेरर ग्रुप्स जो हैं लश्कर जैश है इनके साथ, बाकी हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन इनके साथ मीटिंग की है और उस पर ये लिस्ट कोई ड्रा की है लगभग 200 आदमी की, जिसमें सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज, JNK पुलिस के एम्प्लॉइज, सरपंचीज, जो माइनॉरिटीज हैं, जो आउटसाइडर्स हैं, कश्मीरी पंडित हैं, लेबरर हैं, इन सबको उसमें इंक्लूड किया है. और एक पिस्टल्स की कंसाइनमेंट यहाँ भिजवाई है पाकिस्तान से बॉर्डर के ड्रोन के थ्रू, और उन लड़कों को इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है जो लिस्टेड टेररिस्ट नहीं हैं, जो रेडिकलाइज्ड लोग हैं, जो सिंपैथी रखते हैं टेररिज्म के लिए. उनको इंटरनेट पे कांटेक्ट किया जाता है और कहा जाता है कि कोई फलाना आदमी आपको पिस्टल दे देगा और आप तीसरा आदमी उनको टारगेट दे देगा और उसको हिट करिए, वापस पिस्टल जमा कराइए और नॉर्मल इंसान की तरह रहिए. क्लासिकल टेररिज्म है जो अभी किया जा रहा है. ये 1990 में भी किया गया था.
Women have particularly become more vulnerable to these attacks. For instance, Rahul Bhat was targeted for singing acting and being a social media sensation. The killing of Rajni Bala, a government teacher in Kulgam, sent shockwaves across Jammu and Kashmir. Though these murders have evoked widespread condemnation, the administration in J&K is grappling to contain the spate of killings.
Jammu Bhat, a TV social media sensation who was killed recently by the Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. But let me tell you one thing. Those killers were not from Pakistan, they were from the locals. And why locals? Why they killed? What was her mistake? Her mistake was only that she was not wearing a burqa.
Rajni Bala, a teacher who had left her home, everything, and came to Kashmir. She was teaching our kids, our children. She was actually building our future. So killing Rajni Bala sends a very, very, very bleak message to our society.
जब एक पुलिस अफसर का लिंचिंग हुआ था डिप्टी एसपी जामिया मस्जिद के पास नोहाटा में श्रीनगर में, उससे बिल्कुल हम हिल गए। इसी तरह एक पुलिस अफसर को जब मारा, उसकी छोटी सी 2-3 साल की बच्ची चिल्ला रही थी अपने पापा के लिए, तो वो बड़े ऐसे सीन थे जो दिल को हिला देने वाले।
Imagine just a person entering a government building with a pistol in his pocket, killing Rahul Bhat in presence of 7-8 persons, then leaving the government building being not caught and unnoticed. Is it possible? And how was Amal Bindru killed? He was killed in presence of almost 20 customers that were waiting for the medicine because he was running a chemist shop.
The brutal murder of a government employee, Rahul Bhat, inside his office in Budgam was another case of terror being unleashed in Jammu and Kashmir. Rahul's killing triggered days of protests by many pundits living in high-security neighborhoods in the valley. Many fear that these targeted killings could trigger another migration, as in the 1990s.
But unfortunately, after October last year, the killings took place, and after that, the killings recently which took place, especially the Rahul Bhat's killing, there is silence from the majority within the neighbors also. I'm not talking about the general, within the neighbors also, because they are not freely coming to our homes. So that was somewhere that has actually worried me as a KPSS president.
Many say that the recent spate of killings is part of the new hybrid terrorism module that is taking shape in the valley. The hybrid terrorists are those terror operatives who are not on any terror list, but carry out the targeted killings after being radicalized by terror outfits. Once the job is done, they slip back into their routine, mundane life.
Hybrid terrorism means that it's a part-time terrorism. Part-time terrorism means that a guy who is working in an office has been given a pistol along with the name, along with the profile of a person that you need to kill that person. So he carries that small pistol in his pants, goes, kills and goes back and reports to the duty. So that is all it is.
ये जो हाइब्रिड टेररिज्म है, जो नया इन्होंने रणनीति लाई है, इसको भी हमने पहले भी ये फेजेस 1990 में देखी हैं, और इसको भी बहुत जल्दी जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस मिलकर इसको भी अनकवर कर लेंगे, और बहुत जल्दी हालात, ये भी एक टेम्परेरी फेज है, ये भी निकल जाएगा।
Many fear that these fatal killings are also part of an attempt by terror groups to Talibanize the valley. The administration's inability to protect the human rights of its citizens has further given a leg up to the terrorists to continue with their brazen acts of terror.
When Taliban took over Afghanistan, the manner in which United States of America abdicated Afghanistan and left Taliban to deal with the situation, there is a perception within these people who are carrying these killings that if Taliban could throw out United States of America from Afghanistan, they could also do it. If they could do it, we can also do it. Therefore, the idea of we can also do it has inculcated, has infused a fresh energy and a fresh enthusiasm in these mad skulls, bloodthirsty skulls. So that is how they keep on killing.
There is no difference between that killer who killed people, in a mosque at New Zealand, the shooter who killed students in a school in US, somebody who killed people in Sri Lanka at a religious gathering, and similarly these organized criminals are targeting innocent civilians in Kashmir. So the people are enemies of humanity. The people are enemies of our society.
The targeted killings involve not just killing the minorities or migrant workers. The terrorists have been gunning down people who believe in the very idea of India. They have been silencing those voices that have openly denounced and questioned militancy in J&K. Through the killings, the terrorists have questioned the right of residents of the minority community in Kashmir. The militants have been targeting voices of dissent and people who have been openly calling for peace in the valley.
This, killing spree is not limited up to non-Muslims only, but they will kill anybody and everybody who is a progressive, moderate Muslim and who believes in the idea of India. Those supporting the idea of India will also become target of these people.
Those Muslims who get killed, they don't fit in the definition of jihad, like people who are involved with the government. For example, that Qadri who was a policeman was killed. He was part of the government. So they thought that he is the man who comes in between the idea of jihad. For example, Amrina Bhat was there. Amrina Bhat was a liberal Muslim. She was an actress. She lost her life. So similarly, all those Muslims who they feel, who they perceive are an obstruction to jihad, they do it.
2017 में हमने ऑपरेशन ऑल आउट स्टार्ट किया था आर्मी के साथ मिलके और सीआरपी के साथ मिलके ऑपरेशन ऑल आउट स्टार्ट किया, जिसमें लिस्ट ड्रॉप की गई सारे टेररिस्ट की और उनको हमने हिट करना शुरू किया और वही ऑपरेशन ऑल आउट आज तक चल रहा है और उसमें हजारों की तादाद में इनके कार्डर्स मारे गए। इसलिए ये जो सॉफ्ट टारगेट या टारगेटेड किलिंग की प्लान पिछले साल सितंबर में ISI ने बनाया ताकि इससे डर का माहौल पैदा किया जाए। लो इन्वेस्टमेंट हाई रिटर्न, जैसे आपका कोई टेररिस्ट मरता नहीं है, वो 2 लड़के आते हैं किसी को गोली मारते हैं, वेपन वापस करके, और ना टेररिस्ट का नुकसान होता ना उनके वेपन का नुकसान होता, लेकिन डर का माहौल देखिए कितना ज्यादा है।
The violence in Jammu and Kashmir also brings to focus the inability of the administration to break the terror ecosystem. The uptick in violence has presented an enormous challenge to law enforcement agencies. The central government has also been unable to end the feeling of alienation amongst the people of J&K.
Government is just asking all the minorities be alert whenever they have the inputs in anywhere in Kashmir. They call the minorities to be inside for 4 or 5 days or 2 days and reach home before the sunset. It clearly shows that how the situation is in the valley. The main part is that government must take a different initiative.
सबको मालूम है ये टेररिज्म कहाँ से एमिनेट हो रहा है और लड़कों को रेडिकलाइज किया जा रहा है। अभी भी सैकड़ों मदरसा चलते हैं कश्मीर में, जमात इस्लामी के एलिमेंट्स हर जगह घुसे हुए, हर सोसाइटी के गवर्नमेंट के हर विंग में हैं, वो जिनकी सिंपैथी है टेररिज्म के, और वो एक इकोसिस्टम है जो टेररिज्म को प्रमोट करता है। इन सबसे सिर्फ 370 हटाने से हालात नॉर्मल नहीं हो जाएंगे, इन सबसे लड़ाई करनी पड़ेगी, इन सबको और सबको मिलके करनी पड़ेगी, और इसमें कश्मीर की सिविल सोसाइटी को भी खड़ा होना पड़ेगा।
Ensure a better security, one, demolish the jihadi ecosystem created over the years, ensure peace by effective controlling the policing, by effectively increasing the intelligence inputs, by giving them exemplary punishment so that people are not lured to this sort of terrorism, and by educating the parents that don't allow your children to get carried away with this religious fanaticism. And last but not the least, de-radicalization. You have to initiate the process of de-radicalization.
While jihadis continue to murder innocent civilians, the victims of terrorism say their lives have changed forever. Unless the civil society groups, civilians, law enforcement agencies, various stakeholders and the union government come together on a common platform to contain the violence, the family members of victims say the bloodshed in Jammu and Kashmir will continue unabated.
I am myself the victim of terrorism. I know the pain, and I know the pain of the Kashmiris who have lost someone from their family. I have seen the worst in my life. I don't want someone else to see the same thing in his life. That's why I always want to try my best to console, to meet those families who are victims of terrorism.
I'm also scared. Peace is the ultimate goal of mankind. Peace is not a choice or alternative, but ultimate goal.
आंखें बंद करके बैगर सामने आ जाता है, जैसे सोते हैं, जैसे रात को 3 बजे 2 बजे नींद खुल जाती है, एट ए टाइम सामने जैसे खड़ा होता है, ऐसे बात हो जाती है। ये हमको नहीं, मतलब मेरी मिसेज को, बच्चों को कभी कभी सुबह ही हम रोना स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं, अजीब सी बात हो जाती है। कल सवेरे की बात है, कल सवेरे किसी हमारी बच्ची ने बोला मुझे सपने में आया था, तो रोना स्टार्ट हो गया, हम सारे रोना स्टार्ट हो गए। ये तो हमारी अब जिंदगी का, ये मेरे ख्याल में काम ही बन गया वैसे। सुबह उठ के कोई कुछ बोलता, कोई कुछ, अब क्या बोलता, हमारी जिंदगी में रोना ही रहा और कुछ नहीं।